What's up, Rockstars? I have a really fun prototype. I'm excited to see. It's actually a whole game plus some prototype minis for the current game. So that'll be linked down in the description below, of course. But I'm excited to see this for the first time. I only opened up the lid because they wrote my address on it in Sharpie, which is kind of, I mean, it's cool. It's whatever, but I can't show that on the camera. You guys are creepy. No. Just kidding. I'm excited, though. This is a lot of packaging. Dear Lord. All right. Normally you can use paper for that. So it's a little cheater. But as you can see, Eldfall Chronicles. So I think this is part of the prototype minis for the current dungeon crawler that they have. But then they also sent the actual kind of skirmish game. Now you can use both or do both or whatever, which is kind of cool. So, oh, there's so many things falling out. And by so many, I mean two. All right, let's look at what we have here. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this like a normal unboxing. So in other words, I'm going to open this first as if I'm just opening Eldfall Chronicles, the kind of the skirmish game that they've had, right? As well as it looks like their ancient structures, Warlord exclusive thing. So I'll show all that off to you guys so you can see kind of what it is going to be. That being said, they've said that they're actually already improving even this. So we'll take a look at this. I think these are probably resin, but we'll take a look. So you'll kind of be able to see both, but that is for the current Kickstarter. And obviously all of the stuff in there is also being able to be used in the regular skirmish as well. So it's like adding more units and stuff like that. But let's see. I like how thin this is. I don't know if they come on sprue or not. I'm assuming so because there's no way that would fit otherwise. So that'll be kind of interesting. It says this box contains everything you need to play. A Blood Colossus miniature. So it mentions the miniature, but doesn't mention if it's built or not. Expand your gameplay and collect with the creatures expansion, which is Earth is the Earthen creatures, which is what they're showing here. So they have all these here. It says the included miniatures are highly detailed, made of high quality resin, fit for any miniature painter, collector, or enthusiast. So they are resin miniatures. Interesting. The miniatures require assembly and can be painted. Okay, glue and paint are not included. Well, I will have to do that real quick. And now it's resin, so I'll have to use super glue. What's in the box says everything here. Tells you a little bit about it. Very cool. Okay, and shows you a little map. I like the terrain. That should be kind of interesting. Let's go ahead. And obviously, the art, I think, is really great in this game. Seriously, that's freaking cool. Look at the freaking magic carpet going against whatever the heck that thing is. Heck yeah. With the legs and stuff, it looks like it's kind of like that. In fact, I think it is because it even has a little helmet thing. All right. So, and how they sent this in again, which is not the normal way you would get it, right? And some DHL box with, your name or your address Sharpied on top and with some prototype resin minis as well. So, obviously that's not how you would normally get it. So there's a little bit of a ding here, but I don't know how that'd be otherwise. Cardboard box feels nice. It's very smooth. There's no UV treatment or anything like that. Honestly, I'm not. I think some people view the UV treatment like it's some kind of hollow, like a foil card. Normally foil cards look freaking sweet, and normally when it's the UV treatment where it's a little shiny, they just made the text shiny or something like that. So it's not quite as epic feeling to me when they do that. So I don't really care either way. This is by Free Company, by the way, which is kind of a cool name. I don't recall if was that their name before. Plain inside box, but that being said, nice and rigid. The actual glue job on it looks pretty level. A little bit, it's equal here and not here, which is kind of interesting because I don't see any bubbles or anything like that. No, it must be slightly askew, just ever so slightly, or they cut it wrong because this is even here and then not here. So at some point here, it's not. That being said, it's nothing I can tell with my naked eyes here. It looks fine to me. So what do I know? Okay, this is bad. Look at this core rule book. I kind of dig it. It's very easy to hold. I like that. Look at that. Special thanks to all of our backers. That's cool. I dig that. Is that really it? I'm kind of surprised there's not more, actually. Maybe, well, I know they're doing good right now. And again, I'll link down to below. So no index at the very back because of that. Instead, you got to go one farther back. I'm okay with that because it looks like it needed the 2-page spread, really, which is probably why they did that, as long as it's really easy to get to. For an index, this is kind of interesting because for the most part, almost everything has only one page listed. However, Then you have activation, and suddenly you have like 5. That's interesting to see that according to them, that's how the rulebook's set up. Now, I'm not exactly sure how much is like that. Also, they came into a little kind of oddity where they needed like 2 lines to list that, so the numbers on the other side. So that's good. I don't know, kind of interesting. We'll see. We'll see how useful that is. I'll try and get some time with it and let you guys know. Otherwise, like I really dig this. This is super easy because you know what's nice is it doesn't take up a lot of table space. I can keep this on the table while I play, no problem at all. Flip through it real quick. Now, often this means more pages. I don't think this is more pages. I think this is because look how small the font is. This would have been like if it was a bigger rulebook, the font would just be like actually readable. I could read this fine, but I know some of you guys are like super old and have really bad eyesight, and I love you guys, I really do, but this is going to be a nightmare for you, right? I mean, that's tiny. That is not, this is probably the smallest writing I've seen, especially stuff like this, in a rulebook ever. This is the smallest. So this was kind of the one thing, and I don't know how verbose this really is, but this was one thing I remember in the prototype that actually kind of made me, or prevented me from really diving in enough to do a lot of content on it, just because like this is what 90 pages, not including the glossary, of like super dense rules. This is an advanced skirmish game. Is what it seems like. From what I can tell, it plays pretty smoothly. I've seen it played a little bit, so it could just be rules bloat. It could just be maybe a lot of examples. I'll try and let you guys know. I know that obviously there's a lot of charts and stuff here, right? That I think you would look up. I mean, this is pages and pages of that. Maybe that's what it is. And it's all in the middle too. So if I need to look this up, list of abilities and classes, I need to know it's on page 45. Ideally, all that stuff would actually be like right before the index. So right before here would be the glossary and the lookup things, right? And the glossary is there, useful tips there. But then like after all that, you have well, maybe this isn't too bad because it looks like this is all lookup stuff. Now this looks more like, no, this is explaining the schemes. Maybe the rulebook isn't that bad. Are those quests? Setting up your terrain. Yeah, so see, you'll need to know how to set up the terrain. So the rules here. It looks kind of like a mix to me. We'll see. I'm just trying to think of how I would easily use this. The table of contents, they are using colors and boldness and stuff like that, so I dig that. Game setup, playing the game, and then other. I wonder if everything after other, like maybe there's only 39 pages of rulebook here. And everything else, list of abilities, setting up your terrain, quest schemes, upgrades, useful tips. Yeah, honestly, so it's probably about 40 pages. That's not too bad then, right? That's literally like that. This is the rule book. This is like lookup stuff, which, I mean, obviously you need to look it up, but okay. Well, you know what? Interesting. I'll take a look at it. Here we have some cards. Let's see how the card quality, especially these tall, what these are like, closer to tarot style. So they are definitely, I would say, board game cards. And what I mean by that is they're pretty skinny. They're definitely bendy. I mean, I could crease this pretty easily. Now, granted, you could do that with magic cards as well, but look how shiny. I don't know if that's, there you go. See, look how shiny that is. One of the most reflective cards I've ever gotten. It's a style, that's fine. I have some extreme lighting on here, so maybe if you have this, you can let me know in your gaming room under normal lighting. How is it? What I will say is, again, some very small text, and actually quite a bit of text on the card. Sometimes it's small text, but they could obviously, I think, scoot this up a little bit more if needed. Like they have a lot of wasted space on here. I think with a different kind of UI kind of design to it, right? The actual, I guess, UI UX kind of style of graphic design. You could get this font higher. I mean, that is some tiny font. Again, I can see it fine. I'm not complaining for me. I just know that a lot of people really struggle with this like small print. I've actually thought about doing a video on just going over a lot of the various grievances people have when it comes to physical disabilities of any kind, whether it's fine motor skills, whether it's eyesight, a color, right? Whether or not you're colorblind or not. These are pretty dark, but it makes the text pop out well. So there is that. Looks like these are different, Earth Elemental, active, reactive. These are like different bosses it looks like you could fight. And then it looks like different tiers to them that you could fight as well. So Yeah, definitely some escalation there. The Amazon, I believe, is unique to this. That's super cool. So you can see the recruitment costs. So for the skirmish, right, you have these different costs to it, but not these bosses. Not these bosses. At least not there. At least not in the same way. That's not a lot of cards, though, so let's see if there's more, I guess. I'm going to put these back in here. I don't know exactly if that's just like stretch goal stuff or how that works exactly, but the display of this is quite nice. So I do like that. It looks like this is a map. Oh, cool. All right. Let's make room. I want to see the map. The known world of Kalad. I love the lore and stuff they put in this. That's pretty impressive. So on the back is nothing. And on the front is a world map. That's super fun. I dig that. It's actually, like, it feels good. This is a nice weight of paper here. Good quality. I do dig that. You do get the creases, obviously. Definitely, this is a common thing you see where a lot of people like to create worlds that are cyclical like this when you look at it. If you think about it, this is not, often it looks flat, right? It looks like, oh, they're all in like a circle and there's a central thing. And yes and no, right? This is wrapped around a globe, but it does make it often seem like there's just like one ocean, and then like is over here ocean 2? Is there like, it looks like it, so all this is ocean. So there's actually almost all a water planet, and it's very little land, and how they drew it. I like the style of it. I like calling out the different like big cities and stuff like that. So that's cool. The gates of the world. Sounds scary. Cool. I dig it. I like it. That's fun. Oh, yeah, see, they have a little key or legend here as well. Print quality seems good. Like, there's no blurriness or anything like that. I don't know if that's super useful, but it is cool. All right, then in here, it looks like we have the actual map. This is interesting. Okay, so this is the map. And instead of like cardboard, it's kind of like a cloth. Before I open it up, I mean, kind of like a cloth, but it's not. It's the same kind of paper. It almost feels a little wet. I will say that I feel this was blown up a little bit. So, and this happens a lot, especially with some indie devs. You don't realize exactly how big of a resolution you need for this, or if you need like vector art that can really expand. Because what you get is stuff like this. Do you see how grainy this looks? So it almost looks pixelated. And that's just from getting, I think, blown up so big. Because if you think about it, you know, your image might be 1080p, but 1080p looks a lot different from like here on your monitor versus the map, which is like huge, right? So, because if you look how big this is, that's exactly what I thought. It looks like it's pretty sizable of a map, right? I love the design though. I do dig that. It looks fairly symmetrical in how like I'm assuming like deployment zones maybe over here. You can kind of see that there. And then one on the other corner, but not visually symmetrical too much. Like there's variation here versus here and stuff like that. But yeah, there's no backside to it. You do get the creases, obviously. It doesn't look like they're too bad, but I don't know how minis will necessarily be on that. But yeah, the graininess is kind of unfortunate. That's really the one bummer there. And it looks like this doesn't look grainy at all. This doesn't look grainy at all. This looks grainy. I think whatever image they used, like in Photoshop, right, or whatever tool they're using, or they layer stuff on, this image was blown up too big for the quality of the image it is. Because, yeah, see, stuff like this, over here, if you look at that, like that is crisp. That looks really clean. This looks a little blurry. This looks really crisp. This looks blurry, so it's kind of a mix. Interesting. I mean, it's certainly not like a you know, oh my gosh, it's terrible or anything like that, but it's something that they can improve on in the future, I think. Oh, come on, don't be like that. Get in there. All right. Okay, there's that. Now, in here, look at the storage of this. That is, this seems really clean to me. I like the visual look of this. We got a little spacer here. We got some cardboard there. We got tokens on the bottom. But so far, unboxing this has looked really nice. Here's some of the resin minis. Again, we'll take a look at that. We got separate dice in here. These dice are cool. Look at the dice. Those are fun. We're going to have to zoom in a little bit here, just so you can see the dice nicely. Got two different styles here. Oh, they look great. That gold is awesome. The numbers are. Looks like it's the same gold in both, but you obviously have light and dark. Now, what's interesting is how, like, look at the difference between how light and dark these are, right? Like, that is pretty much gray, and then that's pretty much dark. And this one's almost all dark. And then you have stuff like all of these look very different. I actually appreciate that. I think you can tell light versus dark, but there's some variation to it, so that's super cool. I really dig that. As for the numbers themselves, they look really clean. The paint looks good on them. Like, all that looks nice. I dig that. Looks no, that's good too. I'm not really seeing any issue with the color or the paint or anything like that. I'm gonna take a black one. The one thing I will say is it almost looks like some of these like form the shape, but I don't think that's actually what it is. It just makes it seem like it. There's not even really a lot of scuff marks on this. Like, these look really clean. I will say this one is slightly harder to read because it is kind of a shiny gold. And then this gray on the gold, it's just kind of muted, right? So there's not a huge difference. Now, again, I'm looking at this with a ton of light on it. Typically, when you're in, like, actually playing a board game, it's kind of a more dimly lit situation. In which case, I could see, like, that being hard. So looking at that, the two looks great. But when you put it to its side, right, like, that's, hopefully you can kind of see the difference. It's kind of hard to see the two there like that. Whereas if they didn't have the indent, or if it was like a bright white or something like that, I think it would show up a bit more. On this gray one specifically, to me at least, it does look like there is a custom symbol on the 20, so that's cool. However, these only have the normal. Oh, no, these are on the one. Oh, okay. Oh, no, it's the one that has that. Interesting. So some people have some pretty strong feelings, I know, on if the symbol should be on the 1 or the 20 or the 1 or the 6 or whatever. And often people want the symbol on the high one. But maybe it's a thematic thing that they're choosing. Again, it's not a type of game where, like, you're using, a super custom dice. So if you don't like it, you can obviously buy another, 20-sided die. They sell them. They as in, like, everybody. So I think you'll be fine there. All right, before I get into the minis, I'm assuming these are minis too. And again, you got black and white, which is kind of cool to see. I dig that. Let's go ahead and remove these. We'll take a look at them. I want to get the tokens, but I'm going to zoom in for the miniatures as well. So I don't want that to, like, take up too much. So here are some of the tokens. There's a lot of tokens. Now, how this will store without these, because it doesn't look to me like there's anywhere to put these besides a bag. I don't see any other storage or anything like that, which is kind of a bummer. I would have liked to see that. But in the meantime, got a big pop out there. A little bit of a tag right here. You can kind of see that. But nothing too bad, right? I mean, I think that looks pretty good. Just a little tag right there, and that's about it. It is white on the back. Is it white on the back? No. So just some of them are white, some of them are not. I would prefer, if you're going to paint it here, put it there. In fact, especially if you are printing both sides, don't just do one white. I doubt there's very much difference at all for painting this and getting that colored. But it means you don't have to, like, the problem is, you get like a whole bunch of these. A lot of hang-ons, by the way. So the tags are a little bit grouped. But anyway, unless you're supposed to be a back, but even then, if they're supposed to be like a hidden thing, right? Ideally, they don't just look white. Like, put something interesting art-wise. But if not, now I have to actually go and flip them all to actually see which one they are. So if they're supposed to be mystery, put something besides white just to make it fun. If they're not supposed to be mystery, then print it on both sides so I don't have to flip them all over. Otherwise, everything's looking fairly centered. I dig that. That's kind of cool. It's interesting that they offset the text. So the, like, actual Roman numerals here lined up here, but then the text is off to the right. And that's on all of them. So that's kind of cool. Let's see, you have level 1, 2, and 3 of these different, like, effects or spells or whatever. Looks like all of them kind of do that. Otherwise, the thickness of these guys is actually really good, and there's not a lot of sponginess either. This is a pretty solid cardboard. Very nice. I mean, you can kind of hear it, right? Like, it even sounds good, so that's cool. I dig that. It looks like we have some kind of... oh, this is some of the terrain. Okay, well, let's go ahead and maybe do that live. Let's see if I can figure it out. How bad could it be? Not super Street Fighter bad or Street Fighter bad. I don't think it was all super, but that one was kind of rough to build some of those things. So let's get rid of some of the... So far, this is coming out just fine. Get rid of the windows there so you can see through them. That's important. Again, this looks like slightly blurry art. Nothing huge or major or anything, but definitely, I think a little blown up. And again, you see this a lot with indie devs. Something I've noticed at least. Just because it's not intuitive, right? Like you wouldn't, like most people don't even know how to necessarily do art that like scales really well, but it's just, it's really hard to make things as big as some of this stuff. And some of it, it's just like, hey, look, this is like what I got from the contractor that we hired kind of thing. Okay, so let's see if this everything I need. It may not be. Maybe this is a moot point. So you would think it goes like this, right? To invert. Like that is what you would think. But that doesn't seem right to me, right? Okay, so I don't think it's that. Like this lines up. But obviously not like... this, like that's not right. Okay, maybe I have no idea what's going on. Maybe these two just don't go together. Maybe it goes like this. Okay, so that looks slightly more promising, but only no. So that's not it. How hard could it be? You tell me, and that's not going to do it either. Well, you know what? Moving on from that. Maybe there's instructions on how to build that. I'll have to figure it out. Okay, we got some different... oh, okay. Some different templates, right? So this is like older edition Warhammer where you're like, oh, I got like this flamethrower, right? It's, any models it touches, it hurts. Mine are yours. And so that's what like templates are often used for. And often they can be quite fun. It looks like these are measuring tools, one for each player. That's cool to include that actually. I have a few of these for Warhammer, and they're really neat. So essentially, you see the measurements on here. This one doesn't show the measurements like the white one does, which is kind of interesting. But you can see this one is 6, that's 1, that's 3, and that's 2. So you can kind of measure, you know, how far away you are. And it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. So each of these... you can count that as well. So if you need to move 4 inches, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. You can move up to there. So you don't need like a ruler or anything like that. You lay that down and it works actually really quick. It's really cool. Looks like black on the other side of there. Are these... so these are double-sided. So that's kind of cool. I dig that then. All right, maybe I can put a tree... oh, look, there is more. Look at this. Because this obviously goes to... I don't know if I need that or not, so I'm going to keep it. That obviously goes to like the top of it, right? I would imagine. It goes in like, oh, guys, I totally got this, guys. I got it. Don't you worry about it. It totally does this. Look at that. Look at that. I'm a genius. I swear. I'm so smart. Okay. Boom. There's the terrain. So right now it's a little wobbly, but I imagine this goes like that. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm guessing. Let's take one side off. By unboxing, you wanted me to build all of this right now. I'm just gonna build this. This is probably about as advanced as you're getting here. Otherwise, you got freaking trees. If you can't figure that one out, I can't help you. There we go. Okay. So far, I'm not noticing any real big deformity in pushing this through. That's both because it's not the tightest, which is, you know, like a good thing and a bad thing, I guess. Okay, so there's that. Now this is where it can get kind of hard. So let's go ahead and looks like it'd go here. and here. So let's put 2 corners. Let's see if that's it. Oh, look at that. So look at that. That's the one issue you can kind of run into, and often it's just going to get worse and worse now. But whatever, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I got this. Maybe. So now I'm like having to. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. There. Okay. See? So it looks great. Please, guys, I got this. Don't worry about it. So now that will go in. This is always the hardest part. Okay. So now I got it like locked in pretty good here. So I need to like pull this together like that, and then start feeding this in as well. Luckily, because it is a little skinnier, it bends pretty well. This is actually one of the easier ones I've done. And I might not be doing this the smartest way either. I am but a simple man trying to brute force this right now. Okay. All right, guys. If this doesn't look fun to you, just know that this is how you get the terrain. I imagine though you can use whatever freaking terrain you want. I mean, when I used to play Warhammer very, very briefly as a teen, the soda cans and my math book would be like a hill. I mean, you do what you gotta do, right? Okay, boom. That looks fun. It looks like you can even go inside. It has this so you can actually move the guys in there. So that's actually super useful. This is not. Why is that bent so much? That seems. Oh, here, because this is. There we go. Okay, there we are. Very nice. And then you even have an opening here too. That's fun. I dig that. Super cool. All right, I'm not gonna waste your time on all that. That looks like the most advanced thing you're doing. Everything else looks similar, or easier, I should say. Not necessarily similar. Move all that. Make a mess. Okay, so guys. I mean, the only thing left to do is look at some minis. Let's see how these are stored. This is the Hylian League. Tuck boxes, I absolutely hate them. So these are going to look poo-poo. But I don't think you're too worried about it anyway. And they did end up putting the cards in the box. I think this is, the problem is I don't know if they'll fit back in. So we might have to do these in separate spots too. The Flame Shaper, she's super cool of a mini. That one's super cool. This guy's awesome. I love that. The cards are a little bent. So to kind of prove that point, you can do that. And you see the little gap there, right? That is the bend. So it's not too bad, but it's definitely there. And again, this is pretty skinny. And still also maybe slightly darker than I would like to see it. Lots of your, stats over here. That being said, a lot of it's art. And then in the back, you get like different abilities they can do stuff. So you'll be flipping this back and forth, and has a little inventory list and stuff like that. So definitely cool. Points probably, right here, and how many you can take in. Love the army building part of it. That's always fun. And now let's zoom in here. Looks like they're all individually bagged. Reminds me of the Infinity models in that sense too. Let's go ahead and take a fun one like this one. It's an interesting color gray they chose too. I wonder if they're all like that or not. It looks like they are. Looks like this is just the color of the resin. Kind of a blue-gray. So, see there's a little arm here. So the base looks like it goes in here, right? And again, I'd have to clean this up a little bit, which shouldn't be too bad. But then it'll go in shaped. So you can only put it in one way. That's nice to see. So that would go in like that. And then it connects to her somehow. It looks like through an arm. Not that arm, though. Probably this arm, maybe. Maybe from the back. Let's see, let's try, instead of holding the base, try and see. So it's coming in like that. She's obviously going to be up. Again, I did not see any build instructions or anything like that. I doubt it goes like that. That doesn't seem right. This is flat too. Like, hold on. Oh, maybe so. Because look, you see right there, right here. This right here, I think, has that go into it. So that's almost like a guide. So if I do do it like that. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe this is just a mold thing, by the looks of it almost. Like it's not supposed to be there. Whoa, bummer. I was hoping that was that. Maybe not. Oh, yeah, I don't think that's it. I don't know, there's an interesting fill there. There's definitely something going in there, I feel. Definitely something. Maybe, yeah, maybe it is like that. Oh, okay. Oh, so she goes in like that. Okay. And then this goes in like this. So she's standing on the base. Kind of like that. Very fun. And then the little arm on the other side too. All right, I'm going to probably build a few of these and then show you how they look like. Until then, let's go ahead and skip a little bit. Again, there are timestamps below, so if you don't want to see the rest, that's fine too. I'm just going to open up to see. I'm not going to bother with these. Again, you'll just see kind of what's there. But I do have this and the creature, so I want to see how those look like first. So this is oh, he's so sad. What the heck's up with that? This box contains 3 exquisitely detailed, high-quality resin miniatures. Man, the detail level here looks great, I'll tell you that much. Okay, so these are also in pieces. But not too bad. Looks like 3 of them here. Looks like they all fit in. They all have these kind of like, I think it's called keying, where it'll only fit in like a certain one. So you kind of know which way it goes in and stuff. So like that goes in like that. And this one is going to go in like that. So here you can see this one as well. Again, the detail level is really good. The cracks in the stone and the pedestal here. Not really any mold lines for this resin either, which is pretty good. You can see that's where it kind of came in. They clipped it. But otherwise, it looks really clean. A little bit right there, and perhaps with some cleanup. Some good depth on there. It looks great. Looks great. It's not very brittle either, which is nice. Like none of this is like snapped or anything like that. So those are just little things you can get, which are fun. I think in a lot of games would be like tree stumps or whatever. So then the only thing left we have here is the earthen creatures. I'm also going to open up the prototype stuff as well. And again, I'll just have that miniature showcase at the end. We'll look at a few. Alright. Alright. There we are. Okay. Looks like another tuck box. Ah, it's a bummer. I hate tuck boxes. So, cool minis, that's for sure. There's the big one. All right, that's... Or is that just this guy? Or lady? Oh, is it an alt version? Because that looks like a dude, perhaps. Yeah, and see, it's standing up a lot more. Okay, cool. Cool. Let's take a look. First, let's ruin the box. It's like impossible to open a tuck box without ruining it. Oh, this has a tray and everything. But, otherwise... has a whole list of cards and then some to build. So let's take a look at some of this, huh? Actually, never mind. We're going to look at this. I'm just trying to see if any are open before I sit down, turn off the camera, and build a little bit. Open here, if you say so. I do as I'm told. Oh. Okay. And there we go. That's actually kind of fun. Get these out of the way. Aha, these are pre-built. Okay, all right. Yep, that's what we're doing right now. We're looking at these. So these are for the current Kickstarter. Again, link down in the description below. They've made this, modified the rules a little bit, or otherwise made a dungeon crawl that works with pretty much the same gameplay. So you can do skirmish or dungeon crawl now. You can do solo, I believe. Look at that miniature. Is that not super cool? So it has the kind of the Zenithal Prime, so it's black, and then like gray, and then like white. I believe. Maybe they didn't even do the gray, and that's just white intermixed, but very fun to see that. The depth, and this is the nice about the multi-part and the resin, is you actually get the bowstring. In fact, it's even a little bit textured. Now, the string is as thick as the bow, but whatever. You get a whole bunch of depth here, which is really nice. All the tattered here, all these little things here. All that looks great. And it looks like the resin is fairly robust too. Not the most, and again, this is a 3D print. So you can see on here the postmarks, right, for the supports. So it kind of hangs upside down, right? But they cleaned them up really good. Like there's not a whole lot. There's a little bit, right? So like right there's a postmark or a support mark. So you'll see that a little bit. There's one right there as well. So just as an FYI, this is the resin version, but it certainly is cool looking. Oh man. Okay, there's like a big guy in there too. There's a few. Oh, I love sitting miniatures. You guys know it. Everybody knows it. I do not hide it. Look at that. Look at the pouring of the like drink. That's so freaking cool. And then these little guys with their the like mask faces here. All three different unique. The fan looks fun. It would be nice to see perhaps a slight ridge here. Maybe it wouldn't make sense though. Yeah, I think it's fine. The horns here are cool. The hair looks awesome. The detail work on the cape. The cape itself actually quite thick here, so nice and supported. Love the little platform shoes she's got, but look at that. Look, the little arc right there. Super cool. This is an awesome mini. That's pretty heavy. This is solid too. And even hollow. All the swirlingness and stuff look great. I'm not really seeing anything, by the way. I'm trying to look to see what wouldn't translate well. Perhaps this thinness here, but I think they'll do fine on that, to be honest. It looks like when you build it up, all the supports here, right? So that's so thick there. Yeah, all of this looks good. Like perhaps that little tiny middle crease will show up, but otherwise all the hair's thick enough. Like with the style, like they know how to make a cool mini, that's for sure. Because this is awesome. I really dig this. All right, let's see what else we got. We got quite a few here. Okay, this is fun. They've shown this one painted. Love, love, love. Again, the design of all this. Love the sword. It's curved. Love that she's like, her feet are like, her toes are wrapped around it. The explosion of terrain here. Otherwise, mostly it's a flat base. So that's probably one thing to note. The little fringing here looks great. The hands look proportionate, so that's good. Dig all that. I really like this like belt sash thing. Again, the hair tied up like that, super neat. The little tassel swirled around and the little fur on the top of the sword. This looks so cool. Just a cool mini. Imagine being this character, right? Like that would make you feel awesome. How can you not feel awesome with a big sword like that? Ooh, don't want to break them. Look at this. Love it. Again, super dynamic. Not like in an unrealistic way, but the quiver on the side is great. Obviously, the feathers and the falcon here, his arm raised, and then his crossbow held down here. All of this is looking cool. Looks like he has a tail, but it's connected here, so there's a lot of support. It's not just loose. Very smart. Same here, they're connecting this, and so you just get this little bit on the outside. They seem to be designing this quite well. Like I'm actually quite impressed with the overall sculpt design. None of the detail looks, absolutely ridiculous or anything like that. So that looks good as well. Looks like maybe a monster here. Oh man, yeah, look at this guy. Look at this ghost dude. So the skulls here, nice touch. Really dig that. Even in the back, there's one there too. One on the side. The little kind of swirls coming off of everything look cool. The completely shadowed face looks awesome. This will provide some really nice OSL opportunity. And notice it's pulling back as well, right? So it gives it a good sense of motion, which I do really dig. And again, just looks freaking sweet. Freaking love it. Even like this little wisp on the top of the head here. Very nice attention to detail. Really dig that. Let's see what else we got here. My understanding is every mini in Eldfall is a unique sculpt. I don't think they have any repeated ones, even in their dungeon crawl. Don't quote me on that necessarily, maybe because that'd be a bad quote because it just talks about what I think. But no, seriously. Interesting thing here. it's fatter here than it is here. Like it's skinny and then grows fat. Probably on purpose. I don't know. Big old paw claws. So that's kind of interesting. Very what is it? An anamorphic character. It's kind of interesting. Again, the ears, the fur on the ears look great. The cloak, a very different style than the others we've seen. So I dig that. Yeah, very cool. And again, a cool pose too. I like how it even gripping like the side of its own base, which is kind of crazy. Oh, so many minis, guys. Woo. There we go. Oh, okay, this was fun. I talked about this. I love that there are 2 minis on these bases. There's another one that shows it really well. Obviously, the design of here. Look at the face on the shield. Super cool designs that they have going on here. Again, overhang on them. But I like that this makes it seem more like a horde thing when there's multiple enemies on the same base. And you can then dynamically pose them pretty cool too. I don't know if this is the one I wanted to show from that. I'll let you know, of course. Again, love the stance. Look at the the fur style on here. So it's like a frost person or something like that maybe. But you see the little kind of like spikes. That is a very cool look of her. It looks different. The leather stitching and stuff on the legs, that looks cool. All the inlay work here is crazy. And again, I don't have to worry too much about, oh, this is the 3D print. I feel like the poured resin will look better than this, right? Because you won't get the pock marks that, you know, need to be cleaned off like here and here and stuff like that. I think that'll look great. Again, hair looks cool. The magic's amazing. You can still see the hand in there. Sometimes that gets lost. Look at the swirl on here. Again, the only thing I worry about is that is pretty skinny there. So I do worry, you know, you're going to grab that, you're going to flick that, and it's just going to snap. That's probably the weakest part of any mini I've seen. Otherwise, looks awesome. All right. Okay, well, looks like we've got another ghost guy. Now, this is, I think, a repeat. Oh, no, it's not. It's not. Like, it's close. But, as you can see, holding different weapons. And the skulls are different, too. So, yep, unique sculpt on both. Very cool. All right, now it looks like we have one more small one and then two larger ones here. Look at, again, the style of all the characters are so cool. This is a very thick cape, by the way, like very thick. Looks like it's multiple layers, so that's okay, but definitely a thick cloak here. Again, love the hair. That's super cool. Love the blade, and the really long handle here is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I dig it. What a cool mini. Doesn't like that would break too badly. This is actually even more solid than that. Looks good. Looks great. What a cool pose. I dig that. I like his beard, his ear detail, his face, all of that looks great. Okay, so they don't have the one. There was one where one's jumping off of the other one. It looked super cool. And maybe they don't have it like supported or anything like that yet. I don't know. Okay, this guy is obviously awesome. You've seen him in all the art. The spikes, pretty legit. Not gonna lie, pretty legit. Love the little beard and the tusks coming out here. It looks to me like his, and again, this is primed, so I can't tell it unprimed, but his teeth here, his mouth, seems a little lackluster in the detail level. So I'd like to see that addressed or looked at a little bit. Also, a little bit thick of little tassels here. It doesn't matter too much. Mostly just a looks thing. Yep, all the detail on the body and the fur and the rope, all that looks great. Looks solid. We have one more here. And it looks like pretty much the same guy, however, again, unique sculpt. So you can see here how they are different. There you go. Very cool. Yeah, looks awesome. Dig it. All right, so that's all the preview minis. Let's build a few of these normal ones, and you can see the final. This is what it'll look like, if not better. All right, guys, I built a few, and I want to talk about it. There's a lot to kind of go over, both in design and implementation, in the build, in a few problem areas, a few highlights, etc. Okay, so this was the first one I built, and it didn't have any instructions. However, I quickly noticed that they made sure that each thing is either shaped a certain way or is a obviously different size. It did a lot of that too. There was a little bit of cleanup. You can see like there was a little bit there, right? There was a little bit there. So there's that kind of stuff where you have a tiny bit of cleanup. Very, very minimal. Like, it wasn't a lot at all. Otherwise, it seems to be pretty secure. I didn't even glue that part, this part down, because I didn't realize it was going to connect to the floor. So and one of the nice things about build instructions is you can do the order. So for instance, I glued these two in first, these two legs. But then with the post sticking in, obviously this body couldn't work. So I kind of had to actually snap one off and put it back in and do that. It was fine. It was not a big deal, but it was something I did notice. Additionally, I was never able to quite push this head all the way in. So I left this one in. So you might see a tiny little gap right in there. Hopefully you can see that, but there's a little gap there. That happened on another one. I'll point it out later. And that one I did fix, and I'll explain what I did on that. But otherwise, detail is great. I mean, it just looks really nice. It's very dynamic. It's very cool. I did notice what looks to be a difference in, like, the gray color. There's still, like, a slight difference there. But, yeah, really good. Happy with that one a lot. This was the one I kind of showed, so here's kind of the final form. I didn't even bother gluing that in. It's actually quite tight, and it is connected there. This was a little bit harder. I did have to kind of hold this part in. Otherwise, the arm glued really well. This arm glued really well. For the most part, you can't see it. You get a little bit of a seam line, perhaps, but honestly, it looks really cool, and I like it. I didn't even glue that part. I mean, there's all these different little connection bits that you could, but she's plenty secure right now, just like that. So obviously very cool too. One thing I will note is I really appreciate the variety of minis. So you have like dudes in armor, you have this like magic chick, you have this like demon chick, you have this like archer, guy, you have some ninja people, you have this like cleric lady. This is probably one of my favorite actually, is this lady. I really sorry, I got like little bits of resin everywhere. I really like the cape and the armor that she has and holding the staff up. A few things, she's kind of interesting. So you'll see this is actually pretty thick, and I wish this was thinner. I don't like how thick that is. It just looks so weird. If they would have even done a single ridge line to make it look like it was two different things, I would have been happier. But it's not. It's this one solid huge thing. That would weigh so freaking much. And then you see like how thick that is, and then how skinny that is, and then how thick it is again. So there's some oddities around the thickness, but I really thought the cape was too thick. That was number one. Number two is her freaking elf ears are so freaking small. Hopefully you can see that. They're so tiny, guys. Like itty bitty. I really dig that. Like just the little detail like that. That being said, they have that, but this hand gets a little weird. On the top, it's fine because you only see the one finger. And then they actually have a finger coming down here, but it's like weirdly flattened. So the bottom part looks a little weird. So that was a little mess up there, I think. Otherwise, this was bent. However, it connects here, but then they also were smart enough to tuck it right in here so that it's actually quite supported here and here, which is really, really smart. So this is loose here, and you can see the bend kind of almost unbend to where it's actually fairly straight. They did a great job on that design right there. That's really cool. I dig that. So that was something I noticed on that. For this guy, again, same thing. This was actually like pulled, like I actually had to like pull this back a little bit, right? Like from his cuff, because it was just so tight. You could glue it right here if you really wanted to, but honestly, between these two, it's nice and solid. You can pick them up however. Really, really good. Additionally, I really liked this part here. I went all the way to the base there. Just think that was cool. And his kneecap is armor stuff thing is also really neat. So dig that one too. Let's see. Let's go into the big one. Big one glued, no problem at all. It's not too heavy or anything that I can tell. The glue held pretty good. All the seams are pretty good. This one may be a little bit off, and some of it might be my bad assembly. But the rest have these cuffs, and these cuffs are what the sculptors use a lot if they know what they're doing. If they know they're going to cut it there, if you add a cuff link on an arm or something like that, that creates the solid line you're expecting to get. But look how well this actually worked. Now, again, first of all, there's a difference in color again, but the seam line between the tail and the body, really good, I thought. Actually quite good. Really good. You will notice, however, though, that the blades are pretty bent. So this is a fairly flexible, fairly robust resin. And you kind of have to balance it out. Also, I kept this a little bit on here. See this little bit right here? So this kind of stuff is probably the majority of the cleanup. It goes away very easily, but it is something that you'll kind of notice. But these blades, you know, again, they are a little bent. So resin can be kind of hard or it can be kind of easy. There's a lot of different kinds. I don't know. I haven't done the hot water test on this one to really tell. And it could just be that you hold it like that for a little bit, right? And then it's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to be straighter now. But we'll see. A lot of times you'll get it straighter and then come back the next day and it's like, yep, again, like it just was like, just kidding. I'm going to end on this one. This is a cool one just because this character is like super advanced, right? Like, and how much is going on with the swirl and the wings and the dress and all that. Again, the dress is pretty thick. So just as an FYI, that's the thing you're doing here. Right out of the bat, you're going to see this. Look at that. So obviously this one didn't really have the connection point and it's just not a hard enough resin, right? It's a toss-up. You want it flexible. You want it to where it's not going to break all the time. But at the same time, you don't want a weapon that does that either. So at this point, ABS would have been a better choice than the resin. And you don't want to have to say that. The fingers, though, look at the detail on those fingers and the claws. Fan-freaking-tastic. Really, really good. And again, her little cape thing here, or the whatever thing over her head, starts out really skinny, ends up again really fat. So again, that thickness there, I don't like. Because again, look how thin this is. Like you can taper it at the end. So the wing itself is actually kind of thick. Not quite that thick, but fairly thick. But then as long as you taper it at the end, I did the same thing with Primal Miniatures and their leaves. Because they were just blocks like this. I'm like, well, just taper it at the end, you know, add a little bit of texture like that. Looks so much better. Then the wing can still be thicker. It's not that thick as this. But either way, you could get the thing you need and still at the very end kind of fix that. But yeah, this weapon here is probably the worst part of the whole thing. Otherwise, again, it assembled great. It looks great. Very cool design. Very cool minis. All these are really awesome. I dig them. I'm excited for these, right? I mean, come on. That's just cool, right? So anyway, again, link down below. Feel free to let me know what you think about the game, about the miniatures, about having to build it, about templates, whatever you want, let me know. And I will be sure to kind of look into that, maybe comment on that, either on the on the campaign itself in a news video or via comment. I'll respond to you. So guys, thank you so very much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye, guys.